There was a time when travel wasn't about speed or convenience. It was slower, quieter, and somehow a little more connected to the world around you. Before the hum of engines and the sprawl of highways, Americans move in ways that now feel almost like scenes from a dream. Hooves on dirt roads, oars cutting through still water, the creak of wooden wheels on a cool morning. Today, we're flipping back through time and looking at 10 transportation methods Americans used before cars. 1. Horseback riding. Long before there were gas stations or traffic lights, there was just you and a horse. A horse wasn't just transportation. It was a partner, a lifeline. Farmers rode into town on Saturdays. Cowboys herded cattle across the plains. And kids learned to ride as naturally as they learned to walk. Every journey felt personal because it depended on trust between you and that animal. Cars may have been faster, but they could never replace that bond. 2. Walking one step at a time. Walking is where it all started. People thought nothing of walking 5 miles to church or school, often on dusty roads that cut through fields and small towns. Neighbors would stop and talk along the way, and every trip felt like part of the day's rhythm. It was slower, sure, but maybe that was the point. You had time to notice the world around you. Cars made walking optional, but walking was once the heartbeat of daily life. 3. Horse-drawn wagons. Before moving trucks and SUVs, there were wagons. Families packed them to the brim when heading west or moving to a new farm. The ride was bumpy. The benches were hard. But these wooden wagons carried dreams as much as they carried supplies. You can almost hear the wheels creaking and the horses breathing heavy on a warm summer day. Once the automobile arrived, wagons rolled quietly into history. For bicycles, a new kind of freedom. When bicycles came along in the late 1800s, they felt revolutionary. Suddenly, a young man or woman could travel miles from home without relying on a horse or stagecoach. Those early bikes, with their oversized front wheels, looked odd, but they opened a door to freedom and independence. Families would go for rides on country roads, feeling the wind on their faces. Bikes never really disappeared, but when cars arrived, they were no longer the fastest way to get anywhere. 5. Stagecoaches. The stagecoach was the backbone of early travel. Part taxi, part mail truck, part lifeline. Passengers would climb inside, squeeze together, and hang on as horses raced across dusty trails. It was rarely comfortable, but it was the only way to cover long distances before railroads. When trains came, stagecoaches faded, but their legend, rolling into a frontier town, dust flying, remains one of the great images of the Old West. 6. Ferries and riverboats. Before bridges connected cities, rivers were the highways of America. Ferries carried families across calm waters, and paddle-wheel riverboats floated along with music playing and passengers talking on deck. Life on the water was slower, more peaceful. It wasn't just about getting somewhere. It was about the journey itself. As roads expanded, riverboats became less common, but they still hold a timeless charm. 7. Railroads and steam trains. Then came the thunder of steam. Trains didn't just change travel, they changed America itself. Suddenly, a trip that once took weeks by wagon could be done in a few days. The sound of a train whistle meant adventure, opportunity, and connection. Even now, something about the sight of an old steam engine feels like stepping into another time. A time when travel felt like magic. 8. Horse-drawn streetcars. In bustling cities, horse-drawn streetcars were the answer to growing crowds. These wooden cars ran along steel rails, pulled by horses up and down busy streets. They were affordable and reliable, and they gave cities a sense of order during a time of rapid growth. When electricity arrived, the horses retired and streetcars turned into trolleys. But for a while, the clip-clop of hooves was a soundtrack of city life. 9. Canoes and rowboats. For native peoples and early settlers, rivers and lakes weren't barriers. They were pathways. Canoes and rowboats carried people through wild landscapes where no roads existed. They were quiet, graceful, and perfectly suited for the natural world. As roads took over, canoes became more about leisure and survival. But their quiet beauty still calls back to a time when the water was the easiest way to travel. 10. The winter sleigh ride. In snowy towns, a sleigh was the only way to get around. Picture it. A horse pulling a wooden sleigh, bells jingling softly, families bundled under heavy blankets as they glide over fresh snow. It wasn't just transportation. It was an experience, almost magical. Cars replaced sleighs as plowed roads became common. But nothing quite matches the feeling of a winter sleigh ride under a cold, starry sky. Outro, looking back, these old ways of traveling remind us that the journey used to matter as much as the destination. It wasn't always fast or easy, but it felt alive, filled with sounds, smells, and moments we can only imagine now. If you enjoyed this trip through time, give this video a like. Share your favorite memory of old-fashioned travel in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this from American Rewind.